reducing cost to mums and dads out there. Thank you.
Call Raymond Ho.
I say to that national member who just resumed his seat that Labour believes in a fair tax regime that promotes social and fiscal equity. Gift duty is part of a progressive tax system that does not favour or disadvantage any member of society. In reply to Aaron Gilmore's misinformed speech, let's look at the title of this bill. The title of this bill is Taxation, Tax Administration and Remedial Matters Bill. Unfortunately, I did not have a chance to take a call at the committee stage on this particular clause because my learned colleagues, Lian Dezell and Ian Liss-Galloway, got the course before me. The title, with respect, is rather misleading. It is wrong to use a bill that is supposedly for administration and remedial matters to push through the abolition of a tax. Such legislation should be reserved for technical changes and would usually be uncontroversial. As I said at the second speech in July, that apart from the provisions relating to gift duty, Labour supports the contents of this bill and in the normal course of events would vote for it. However, due to those concerns, we have to vote against the entire bill. At the committee stage, Lian Dezell asked a very good question about pies, and the minister gave a very good answer. I also had a question for the minister, but again did not have an opportunity to ask. The question was about the application dates. The rule applicable to Category 2 pies are proposed to apply from the start of the 2012 to 2013 income year, but those applicable to Category 1 pies are to apply from the date of royal assent. The application date for Category 1 pie rules has been brought forward in response to submissions, and according to the regulatory impact statement, it will allow some farms to launch prior to April 2012. No explanation was given as to why a similar starting date is not proposed for the Category 2 pie rules. Mr. Speaker, much has been said about Clause 110, namely abolition of gift duty. So far, all explanations and rationale, shall I add, from the Minister and the national MPs are all focused on one single issue, that is, the gift duty imposes a high level of compliance costs on the private sector and no longer raises any significant revenue. I also said at the committee stage that Minister Dam got it wrong when he said that estate duties were abolished in 1992, but gift duties remained in place for revenue purpose. That statement actually begs the question. The Minister confirmed in his previous speeches that the revenue from gift duty was about $1 million per annum, but cost the Inland Revenue Department about $500,000 to administer. On the other hand, the compliance costs on the private sector amounted to $70 million a year, plus the law was too old and so on and so forth, so it must go. I say to the Minister that gift duty was originally implemented to prevent people circumventing estate duty. Estate duties were abolished in 1992, but gift duties remained in place to prevent people from giving away large assets in order to avoid paying creditors, obtain access to government benefits, or avoid tax liability. It has been argued that the abolition of the gift duty will allow people to more easily hide assets in trusts to avoid creditors and tax, and use this opportunity to obtain access to rest home subsidies, for example. This was one of the major concerns in reviewing whether the gift duty should be abolished. A number of lawyers and accountants made good quality submissions, and to be fair, they made submissions in good faith, not because they might lose the opportunity to earn fees, as the minister and also that minister implied. The submission from New Zealand Institute of Accountants pointed out a number of tax avoidance opportunities that may arise in the absence of gift duty, including the ability to split income with people on lower incomes, transferring income to loss-making entities, and transferring assets in order to meet minimum thresholds for the financial arrangement rules and the foreign investment fund rules, etc. Even the IRD officials in the regulatory impact statement cautioned that tax avoidance could increase in the absence of the duty. The Law Society and a number of other submitters raised a further concern that the abolition of gift duty would create problems for the enforcement of claims under a number of legislation such as Property Relationship Act and the Family Protection Act. Labour believes the analysis upon which the gift duty abolition proposal is based is fundamentally flawed because it does not adequately take into account the full range of potential tax avoidance opportunities. We are also concerned that the analysis does not address any of the social equity issues. The government also ignored advice from the New Zealand Trustee Services that called for any changes to gift duty to be delayed until the Law Commission's review of trust law is completed. The Law Commission, as I said in my second speech in July, has embarked on an in-depth review of trust law in New Zealand. The first issues paper was released in November 2010, and this year the Law Commission will release its fourth and the final part on trust law. So I find it a bit odd that the government has ignored the fact that the review of our trust law is underway and has still decided to go ahead and abolish the gift duty that has existed for 125 years. The abolition of gift duty will have far-reaching consequences. The bill, as introduced by Minister Tandem, is relatively simple, but the changes in other areas of law, as I addressed earlier, for instance, relationship property, creditor protection, and insolvency. As said at the very beginning of my contribution, that Labour believes in a fair tax regime that promotes social and fiscal equity. Gift duty is part of a progressive tax system that does not favour or disadvantage any member of society. Thank you.
Dr.